A millionaire husband once said, "She'll cry the day I divorce her." But what happened next left him in tears instead. You want to know how such confidence turned into such regret. But here's a question. What happens when the woman you underestimate becomes stronger than you ever imagined? I've studied countless true life relationship battles, and today I'll walk you through a story that will keep you hooked till the end. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll see why arrogance can destroy even the richest man's world. Samantha Reed thought she had it all. At 28, she was married to Daniel, a successful businessman whose wealth made their lives sparkle. Their mansion sat on the edge of a quiet lake, with walls of glass that let in the morning sun. To outsiders, their lives looked like a fairy tale. Fancy cars, exotic vacations, dinner parties where laughter spilled into the night. But behind the polished surface, Samantha often felt invisible. Daniel loved success more than he loved listening. He was charming in public, yet cold in private. For years, Samantha convinced herself that silence was easier than arguments, that luxury could replace affection. Still, deep inside, she dreamed of a family. She dreamed of a child who would love her unconditionally, who would fill the silence of the grand house with laughter and little footsteps. Then one morning, her hands trembling, she held a pregnancy test that showed 2 pink lines. Her heart raced with joy. This was it. This was the miracle she had been waiting for. She planned the perfect reveal. At their anniversary dinner, she placed a small white box on the table in front of Daniel. Inside was a tiny silver rattle with the words "Daddy-to-be" engraved. Daniel opened it, his eyes scanning the gift. His smile was quick and shallow. "So, you're pregnant?" "Yes," Samantha beamed, searching for his excitement. "Isn't it wonderful?" But instead of joy, Daniel sighed, setting the rattle aside as though it were an inconvenience. "I told you I wasn't ready. Samantha, a baby will ruin everything. The trips, the freedom, the way things are." Her chest tightened. She had expected surprise, maybe shock, but not this rejection. "Ruin everything? Daniel, it's our child." His jaw clenched. "Your decision, not mine." That night, Samantha lay awake, her hand protectively over her stomach, tears soaking her pillow. The man who promised forever suddenly felt like a stranger. The next day, Samantha drove to her mother's home. Margaret Reed was a gentle woman, her hair silvering, her voice soft but wise. She welcomed Samantha with warm tea and the comfort only a mother could give. When Samantha revealed the pregnancy and Daniel's reaction, Margaret's eyes widened with both happiness and worry. She hugged her daughter tightly. "Oh, sweetheart, a child is always a blessing. Don't let him steal your joy." "But Mom," Samantha whispered, "what if he leaves me?" "What if I end up alone?" Margaret cupped her face. "Then you'll still have someone who loves you unconditionally. You'll have your baby, and you'll have me." Samantha nodded, but the fear lingered. She wanted Daniel's support more than anything. Weeks later, Samantha went in for her first ultrasound. She invited Daniel, hoping he might change once he saw the tiny heartbeat flickering on the screen. But he claimed he was too busy with meetings. Alone, she watched the monitor, tears slipping down her cheeks as the doctor pointed to the little heartbeat. Life. Her child was real. Afterward, she drove straight to Daniel's office, determined to show him the ultrasound photo. But when she walked in unannounced, her entire world collapsed. Through the glass of his office, she saw Daniel, not working, but laughing with another woman. His hand rested on hers, their bodies leaning close, their smiles too intimate to mistake. Her heart cracked like fragile glass. She wanted to storm in, to scream, but her legs felt frozen. Quietly, she turned and left, clutching the ultrasound photo like a lifeline. Back home, she placed the photo on the fridge and sat at the kitchen table in silence. The perfect world she had clung to was gone. That evening, Samantha's phone rang. It was her mother. Margaret's voice was weak, trembling. "Sweetheart, I don't feel well. My chest..." Before she could finish, the line went dead. Samantha's heart raced as she grabbed her keys and rushed to her mother's house. She found her collapsed on the floor, pale and gasping. "Mom!" she screamed, calling for an ambulance. At the hospital, the doctors rushed Margaret into emergency care. Samantha sat in the waiting room, shaking, her hand protectively on her belly. First Daniel's betrayal, now her mother's life hanging by a thread. It was too much. When the doctor finally returned, his face was grave. "She's stable now, but it was a close call. Stress isn't good for her condition. She'll need rest and support." Samantha broke down in tears. She wanted to be strong, but everything was unraveling. That night, she sat by her mother's hospital bed, whispering, "Don't leave me, Mom. You're all I have." Her phone buzzed, a message from Daniel. "I think we should talk about divorce." Her chest tightened, but as she looked at her mother sleeping peacefully, she wiped her tears. For the first time, a flicker of strength rose in her. If Daniel wanted a divorce, he had no idea what was coming. Daniel didn't wait long before making his intentions clear. One evening, he strolled into the house later than usual. His tie loosened, his cologne heavy with a scent Samantha didn't recognize. She was sitting at the dining table, a simple meal prepared, the ultrasound photo resting beside her plate. "Daniel," she said softly, "we need to talk." He chuckled coldly. "Actually, I need to talk. I've been thinking, this marriage isn't working. You're too emotional, too dependent. When I divorce you, you'll cry. But I'll make sure you're taken care of. A small settlement, enough for you to get by." The words sliced through her. A small settlement? As though their years together, her love, her sacrifices, meant nothing more than a business transaction. "Is that really what you think of me?" she whispered. Daniel smirked, pouring himself a drink. "I know you, Samantha. Without me, you're nothing. And soon enough, you'll see it too." But Samantha stayed silent, her mind racing. He thought she was weak, that she'd collapse without him. He had no idea just how wrong he was. The next morning, Samantha stood at her mother's bedside in the hospital. Margaret, still recovering, held her daughter's hand. "Sweetheart, you look so tired," she said softly. Samantha forced a smile. "I'm fine, Mom. I'm just thinking about the future." Margaret's eyes searched hers. "Daniel?" Samantha nodded, tears brimming. "He wants a divorce. He thinks I'll fall apart. But I can't. Not with the baby coming. Not with you needing me." Her mother squeezed her hand weakly. "Then don't fall apart. Build yourself up. Don't let him decide your worth, Samantha. Promise me." Samantha swallowed hard. "I promise." That night, back at the house, she began quietly gathering documents, bank statements, property deeds, business contracts she had once ignored. She realized just how much Daniel owned, and how much he had kept hidden from her. The Samantha Daniel thought he could discard was gone. In her place was a woman determined to fight. One afternoon, while visiting her mother again, Samantha ran into an old friend in the hospital lobby, Rachel Hayes, a lawyer she'd gone to college with. Rachel's eyes widened when she saw her. "Sam, it's been ages!" They hugged, and as they caught up, Samantha hesitated before whispering, "Rachel, I might need your help." "Daniel wants a divorce." Rachel's smile faded. "I'm sorry, but if you need legal advice, I'm here. Don't sign anything he puts in front of you. Promise me that." Samantha nodded. For the first time, she felt a spark of hope. That weekend, Daniel invited Samantha to a dinner party at one of his business associates' homes. She didn't want to go, but he insisted, claiming it would be good for appearances. The mansion buzzed with chatter, champagne glasses clinking. Daniel played the charming husband, his hand on her back, his smile polished. But Samantha noticed how his eyes kept drifting toward a woman across the room, the same one she had seen in his office. Her stomach churned. Later in the evening, Daniel leaned close and whispered in her ear, his tone dripping with arrogance. "Enjoy this, Samantha. Soon, this won't be your world anymore. And when it's gone, you'll beg me to take you back." Samantha stiffened but forced a calm smile. He wanted her to break, to make a scene. She refused. Instead, she simply said, "We'll see." Back home, Samantha sat on the edge of her bed, staring at her reflection in the mirror. For years, she had accepted Daniel's dominance, his control. But now, something inside her had shifted. She placed her hand over her stomach. "It's not just me anymore," she whispered. "He doesn't get to decide my future. I do." That night, she drafted an email to Rachel. "I'm ready. Tell me what to do." While Daniel slept peacefully, convinced of his power, Samantha was quietly rewriting the ending of their story. He believed she would cry the day he divorced her. But what he didn't know was that by the time it came, he would be the one unprepared for the storm she was about to unleash. The following week, Samantha sat across from Rachel in her sleek office, papers spread out across the desk. Rachel adjusted her glasses, scanning through Daniel's financial statements. "He's worth more than I imagined," she murmured. "Multiple properties, offshore accounts, investments tied up in shell companies. He's not just wealthy, he's been hiding assets." Samantha felt a pang of betrayal. "I trusted him. I never asked questions because I thought it didn't matter." Rachel looked her in the eye. "It matters now. And Samantha, you need to understand. He's going to try to intimidate you into settling for less. Don't let him. Legally, you have rights, especially with a child on the way." For the first time, Samantha's fear gave way to determination. She wasn't just protecting herself anymore. She was fighting for her child's future. Meanwhile, Daniel grew bolder. He began staying out later, flaunting his new relationship without even trying to hide it. He even introduced the other woman, Vanessa, to a few of his friends at business dinners, pretending Samantha was none the wiser. One evening, when he finally stumbled home, Samantha was waiting in the living room. "Daniel?" she said calmly. "I know about Vanessa." Instead of guilt, he laughed. "Of course you do. I wanted you to. Maybe now you'll finally understand that I've moved on. You should too." Samantha's heart ached, but she didn't let it show. Instead, she replied softly, "You'll regret underestimating me." Daniel scoffed, swirling his glass of scotch. "No, Samantha. You'll regret ever thinking you could stand on your own." What he didn't realize was that while he mocked her, she was already 10 steps ahead. Rachel's strategy was meticulous. She advised Samantha to remain calm, to document everything, to avoid reacting emotionally. "Don't give him a reason to claim you're unstable," Rachel explained. "Right now, his arrogance is your greatest weapon. He's sloppy, and that will cost him." Samantha followed every word of advice. She began keeping a journal of Daniel's late nights, his reckless spending, his cold remarks. She took photos of receipts he left behind, recorded dates and times. Piece by piece, she was building a case. At the same time, she leaned on her mother for strength. Margaret, though still recovering, encouraged her daughter daily. "Remember, Samantha," she whispered one afternoon, "sometimes the strongest people are the ones no one believes in. Prove him wrong." Daniel's reputation had always been polished, the perfect millionaire businessman with a picture-perfect wife. But rumors began to spread. His frequent appearances with Vanessa raised eyebrows. Associates whispered about his arrogance, his carelessness. At a charity gala, Samantha attended alone, her head held high. People murmured when they saw her, expecting a broken woman. But instead, she glowed with quiet strength. A colleague of Daniel's approached her and said, "I've always admired your grace, Mrs. Lawson. Don't let him make you small." The words touched her deeply. For so long, she had felt invisible in Daniel's shadow. Now, for the first time, others were beginning to see her for who she really was. One night, Daniel came home furious. "Did you meet with a lawyer?" he demanded, his voice sharp. Samantha's blood ran cold. Had someone told him, or was he bluffing? She steadied her voice. "Why does it matter?" His jaw clenched. "Because I make the rules here. You don't get to challenge me. If you fight me on this, I'll destroy you in court." But Samantha no longer flinched. She looked him directly in the eyes and said, "You can try, but you'll find out soon enough that I'm not as weak as you think." For the first time, Daniel faltered. Just for a moment. Then, with a sneer, he stormed out. Late that night, Samantha sat on the porch, the cool air wrapping around her. She placed a hand on her belly, whispering, "We're going to be okay. I promise." Her phone buzzed, a message from Rachel. "I found something in his accounts. Call me tomorrow." Samantha's heart raced. Maybe, just maybe, Daniel's empire wasn't as untouchable as he thought. As Daniel sank deeper into arrogance and betrayal, Samantha was quietly stacking the deck against him. The divorce he thought would make her crumble was turning into a battlefield, one he was dangerously unprepared for. And soon, the man who believed she'd cry would learn the truth. Sometimes, the tears you expect never come. Instead, they turn into fire. The morning sun poured through the curtains as Samantha sat in Rachel's office once again. Her lawyer's expression was unreadable as she slid a folder across the desk. Inside were documents Daniel never intended her to see. Secret accounts, shell corporations, undeclared assets worth millions. Rachel leaned forward. He's been hiding money offshore, siphoning company profits, and falsifying his taxes. If this comes out in court, not only will he lose credibility, he could face criminal charges. Samantha's hands trembled. "Do we use this?" Rachel's voice was calm but firm. He wanted to play games. "This is how you win." He underestimated you, Samantha, and now the truth is his undoing. The day of the divorce hearing arrived. The courthouse steps buzzed with reporters, curious about the scandal surrounding one of the city's most prominent millionaires. Daniel walked in with Vanessa on his arm, smirking for the cameras. He looked untouchable, confident, certain of victory. Samantha entered quietly beside Rachel, her head high, her presence calm and dignified. She wasn't here to create drama. She was here for justice. Inside the courtroom, Daniel's lawyer painted a picture of a fragile, dependent wife who needed only a modest settlement. But when it was Rachel's turn, she stood tall and said, "Your Honor, we have reason to believe Mr. Lawson has deliberately concealed assets, and we have the proof." The room fell silent. Daniel's smirk faltered. One by one, Rachel presented the evidence: offshore transfers, undeclared investments, falsified documents. The judge's expression grew darker with every page. Daniel tried to interject, his voice sharp. "This is nonsense, fabricated lies." But the judge silenced him. "Mr. Lawson, the documents speak for themselves." Vanessa, seated in the gallery, shifted uncomfortably, realizing the man she clung to wasn't as invincible as she thought. For the first time, Daniel's arrogance cracked. His empire, built on secrets and lies, was collapsing in front of everyone. When it was her turn to take the stand, Samantha didn't play the victim. She spoke with quiet strength. "I gave years of my life to this marriage. I supported Daniel when he built his business. I stood by him when he succeeded. And when I found out he was ready to discard me, I didn't fight out of spite. I fought because my child deserves better. Because I deserve better." Her words carried weight. They weren't dramatic. They were honest. The courtroom could feel it. Daniel, red-faced, muttered under his breath, but everyone could see the truth now. He wasn't the powerful man he pretended to be. After days of testimony, the judge finally delivered the decision. Samantha Lawson is entitled to a substantial share of the marital assets. Furthermore, given Mr. Lawson's attempts to conceal wealth, this court will initiate further investigations into his financial practices. Gasps echoed through the courtroom. Daniel slumped in his seat, his empire in jeopardy, his reputation in ruins. Meanwhile, Samantha sat tall, her hand resting gently on her stomach. She hadn't cried. She hadn't begged. She had risen. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. Daniel shoved past them, his face twisted with anger and humiliation. Samantha, however, paused for just a moment. One reporter asked, "Mrs. Lawson, how do you feel now that it's over?" She smiled softly. "I feel free." Weeks later, Samantha sat in her new home, modest compared to Daniel's mansion, but filled with peace. Her mother, healthier now, laughed gently as they prepared for the baby's arrival. Rachel visited often, becoming more than just a lawyer. She was now a trusted friend. And Samantha? She no longer saw herself as the broken woman Daniel had predicted. She was stronger than ever, not because of what she endured, but because of what she chose to become. Daniel once said, "When I divorce you, you'll cry." But in the end, it wasn't Samantha who shed the tears. It was the millionaire husband, unprepared for the day his arrogance came crashing down, all because he underestimated the woman he thought was weak. And as Samantha held her newborn child in her arms, she whispered, "We're going to be just fine." Because sometimes the greatest revenge isn't anger or bitterness. It's rising above, moving forward, and proving, without a single tear, that strength was within you all along.